Welcome in, everybody. We have an absolutely wonderful, exciting ACEC qualifier tournament for you today. I am Daniel Saligman, joined by the lovely
Ryan Blankenhorn.
And we have an absolute fun show. We have ACC qualifier, right? And what are they playing for? Because no one cares about anything unless we know the stakes. We're playing for a bid to the CECC championship land in Arlington, Texas. So we're playing for some gold here.
Playing for some good land experience, some good travel. And I mean, who doesn't want to go to Texas for a land?
I'd go to Texas for a land.
I think anyone would, right? And even better, only one of the teams competing today is even from Texas.
That's perfect.
Everyone else, all over, all ACC member schools.
So like you said, we have a compilation of various ACC member schools. Not all of them are included, but We got a good few. We got Syracuse, of course. We got SMU, Southern Methodist University. We got some other wonderful matches. We got Clemson. Got UMiami.
Yep.
And
Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, a couple to add as well. We got a solid group today. 7 teams going to be battling it out in Rocket League in a group stage and then following in to a bracket. We're going to have some good matches today.
I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how all of these schools match up against each other, right? We're sitting here. You can see the big S behind us. This is we're from Syracuse, right? It would only make sense that a lot of our attention is going towards the Syracuse team, but I'm really looking forward to seeing some matches from other teams in the conference that we don't really get to see all that much, right? Like I feel like we just haven't got to really experience that kind of those kind of plays. So
like Syracuse, we've seen teams like Wake Forest before, but of course we haven't seen some of these other teams, right? University of Miami, one of those teams. Georgia Tech, one of those teams that we haven't seen. SMU, one of the new teams to really add into the ACC member schools.
Yep.
Also a team we haven't really seen much from yet, just in general of Rocket League, right? So this match this entire tournament is going to show us a lot, especially as the first match, as you see in the bottom left of your screen, folks, Clemson and University of Miami. We've talked a little bit about it. We've seen Clemson before. We know they're a powerhouse. We've seen them at lands before. They can do some work.
Clemson could definitely do some work. We were talking before the broadcast because obviously we are a little partial here. We try not to be. We try to be good casters, but we're not always perfect. And we kind of have said that we feel like Syracuse is a very, very strong team. And we also feel like if any team is going to give Syracuse a real run for their money, it's probably going to end up being Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. That battle of the orange. We'll see it eventually today. I'm willing to put money on that one. We will see it eventually. But of course, first, we got to get through some of these group stages.
That's right.
Right? We've got some good teams. This first one is going to be that Clemson and Miami game. I think we're going to see some other good ones as well. I'm looking forward to a Wake Forest Georgia Tech matchup.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to Louisville as well. I know we didn't mention them earlier, but I've seen some good stuff from Louisville in the past, right? We've seen them. They're kind of that sporadic team that pops out and they do some crazy stuff. Definitely probably the Cinderella story, I feel like.
You were talking about the Cinderella story.
I feel like that's the team that could definitely put in some upsets against some of these bigger powerhouse teams like Syracuse and Clemson. I feel like if Louisville is on their game today, they'll definitely be a team to look out for.
And I do really like those kind of Cinderella stories, the teams that we aren't necessarily looking to as kind of the top performers. And I mean, we're just going to jump right into it. Let's forget talking about UVille and let's now talk about UMiami versus Clemson. Game 1, the group stages are underway.
Yeah, and already starting off, Clemson going to be the team that finds that kickoff and looks early. We'll have a nice save there. But we are going to see UMiami is going to already be back on that offensive side, looking to find their entrance into this game. 30 seconds in here, Danny.
Looking to make their mark, UMiami wants to come out fast and show Clemson that they are a team to be reckoned with, but Clemson now has the ball in Miami's end, and now they're looking to try and make an offensive push. Ample, though, flying in from the sky, able to get a nice centering pass. No one there from UMiami to try and capitalize on that. And let's see the ball flying up into the air. JTY is looking for it. Little bit of a miss, but Beans is right there on the rotate to pick it up.
Yeah, with this, both these teams are really just battling it out at the moment. The goal's open, though. Okay.
Ample finds the shot. It kind of just felt like, just the hit. I mean, the rotations, it kind of felt like Masso or someone else, JYT or Beans, someone should have been there to cover that, and they just they got caught off guard.
Yeah, it looks like Clemson went in for that triple commit, and unfortunately, maybe a little bit of some communicative issues there, and Clemson was just not ready for that final touch. Masso, though, able to find it just in time. Miami, a team I did not expect to be up in this series so early on, but definitely ready to play.
Oh, almost coming in. Clemson trying to equalize. They definitely want to try and bring it back, probably feeling a little bit caught off guard, but Mylon Collapse, that's a funny name, excuse me. Tries to get it in, but Masso is going to be in. A nice dribble off the wall now, centering it for his teammate, but Ample is there to fetch the ball out. Beans coming in on the rotate, fires a shot in, just going to careen a little bit to the left of the cage. JTY tries to find the hit off the wall, but the ball is going to fly back into the air. JTY and Ample fighting for it, and it's going to be back in Clemson's zone.
Miami is doing such a good job just really preventing Clemson to find any sort of value. We've seen a couple shots go in as well as a demo on to a bubble. This is exactly what Clemson needs, but once again, Miami, some great car movement is just going to prevent Clemson from being able to do really anything on this defensive side.
Miami is doing a great job just locking down, firing in shots from across the field, trying to keep this lead because offense wins games, but defense, if you're up, does tend to win championships. A 1-goal lead is still enough to win you the game. Again, these first matches are best of 3, so Clemson does not want to put themselves already in an unfavorable spot, let's just say.
Yeah, Clemson trying to find their way back into this game. Already halfway through this first match here, only 1 goal, right? You're not too far behind. It's definitely winnable, but I really want to just mention a couple things specifically about players like Bubble and like Mylon Collapse, right?
Ooh.
We're seeing some great defense coming out from them, and they're willing to go full boost to stop Clemson from getting any value. It's a risky play, but it's a play that's giving them so much value because Clemson is then forced to play like this, and they have to play defense.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if the shots are, if they're necessarily good scoring chances, as long as they're scoring chances that demand someone be there, but Mylon Collapse able to fly up, get the save. Masso with a good shot on goal. Unfortunately, doesn't go through, but Ample throws it back over to Beans, but Bubble's right there to stop it. The ball back in Clemson's end, maybe bounces a little too far high above Bubble's head, but Ample flying up in the sky is going to bounce above the crossbar, but do not worry because Clemson will be there. The ball, it's just a scramble. Ample from the top rope. JTY there to find the save.
Yeah, Clemson playing a risky game, still not done yet. They are struggling to just get this ball outside of their field. Beans, no boost, is able to find the middle ground boost, but right again, Miami sends it back over to Clemson's side of the field, and it's causing Clemson to just struggle with this boost, struggle to find any sort of value. A great pinch will go in the favor of Clemson, and almost an own goal comes in for Miami.
They barely are able to clear it out. That got a little hairy. Clemson, again, really looking for an opportunity here. Massow's going to send one off the top. Ample doing a nice job meeting that ball and getting it off its trajectory, and he fires it back towards the goal. And like we've been talking, that's why JTY kind of has to stay back here, because Miami always finds these opportunities not to necessarily score, but just to take attention away from their own goal. But Clemson now regrouping, trying to get a last push as we approach 30 seconds left in this first match. Find one on the goal, but it's not going to go in as Ample is there to stop it. The shot back in, it bounces off the top corner. Bubble sends it right back into Clemson's zone.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way Miami is playing right now. They are controlling the tempo of this game, forcing Clemson in very uncomfortable situations. 10 seconds left. Clemson is going to have to find this goal just to go into an OT. Imagine going to an OT this early on, Danny.
Oh, it would be wonderful. 4 seconds. Ample, though, does not want it to go to OT quite so soon. 1 second. All this ball's got to do is touch the ground, but Clemson, I mean, looking to keep it up. There we go. Miami with probably what you would consider an upset on Clemson in game 1.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, watching Miami play that, right, one of the biggest things is they had tempo control that entire time.
Yeah.
I mean, they refused to let Clemson get any sort of value, and that was sort of one of the biggest issues. I mean, Clemson, you could see them setting up some great plays, some great passing, a lot of times going off that top bank, trying to find it back to get a double touch into one of the teammates, but not able to find it, right? Every time Miami just came in and threw that ball completely out of the way.
And I feel like getting scored on that early in that kind of way where it's like, well, wait, what just happened, right? wait, there was no one there. We had no one back there. Clemson in their Discord call is probably like, okay, we got it. Okay, all right, settle down. You're right. Let's just keep someone back there. We got to play smarter. But Miami was just, like you said, doing such a good job forcing that one person who's playing back to play back, and then forcing to use all this boost. I remember this one kind of interaction where JYT was hanging back, had 80 boost, used all of it to try and go up and get a touch on a ball that Miami just kind of haphazardly sent flying across.
Yeah, I mean, Miami's playing a risky game. I mean, it's definitely something Clemson can take a lot of advantage on, and sort of something that I want to see is from Clemson. I want to see them punish Miami, right? Because they're playing risky. They're playing very, very risky. Always going in, always throwing in really just everything they have just to find a way to ruin Clemson's plays. And I mean, yeah, you're playing a good passing game, but Miami's willing to sacrifice their own players just to stop Clemson from finding any goals. We approach game number 2, match point, by the way, for Miami.
Already starting off with Clemson having a lot more pressure on this Miami side, but they were able to find it off, but no! Beans finds the nice tap into the top left corner. One tap too many, and Miami couldn't quite keep everybody there. As you see, shoots it in, but not enough boost on anybody to get up high enough to challenge. And Clemson now starting off strong.
Yeah, Clemson, great way here to start off. 19 seconds in. Clemson, one of the big things that I always like to say about Rocket League is it's always different from match to match, right? Everything can change in a matter of seconds, and no game is the same, right? You have other games, sometimes they can start to snowball. Rocket League, every game is going to be different because every kickoff is different. Every rotation is different. Every play is different. And Miami is trying really hard to get that goal in, but can't quite find it. Clemson playing a lot more aggressive now.
Yeah, you have to remember, if Miami plays this game now like they did the first one, they're not going to find any scoring chances, because Miami, to some degree, did kind of get lucky with that goal in the first game, and they were able to hold that lead. But now Miami are going to have to have some kind of set pieces, some plays to try and get this ball in the net, and they're going to do that. As you see, Clemson, not that much boost. JTY does have a little bit, but looking to get it out of their own end and hopefully start an offensive push as Clemson just kind of keeps the gas pedal on. Able to get the boost. Massow shoots one off the top right, looking to maybe get the rebound shot. Doesn't quite go his way. And Bubble going to fly up in the air, but the touch isn't quite going to go his way. JTY going to pinch it off of another member of Miami and kind of send that ball flying.
Oh, a little collision comes in for the side of Clemson, going to stop that entire push, but oh, what a pinch right off the top of the map here. Is going to send it back over to Miami. The boost relatively equal on both sides. Clemson, a lot different play style than we saw them in game number 1. Played a lot more as a team. Now they're playing for full control of this ball, full tempo control, and it's putting Miami in a very precarious position as Clemson is making it very difficult. The rotation's also very good. The demo comes out. Clemson's doing an incredibly good job at just putting Miami on the back pedal.
Like we've kind of been talking about so far today, and with another one as the demo comes through, Miami's gonna have to look for an opportunity now. The ball bubble doesn't even need to come in as Milan collapses, just able to lightly massage the ball through and around. This is a maybe a little bit of an own goal there.
Oh, it's unfortunate to see. Clemson tried to get there, but just not quite able to find the touch on the ball and send it out. That's going to even up this series here, Danny. Clemson and Miami 1-1. A lot more competitive series than we saw originally. Can't quite get the flip reset for the side of Miami, but Clemson once again taking control. One thing I really like from Clemson right now is they're not only getting aggressive, they're not only throwing in everything they had, kind of like Miami in game 1, but they're also starving Miami from these boosts. They're taking their own corner boost on the side of Miami's field, and it's making it very difficult for Miami to do their crazy plays that they were doing in game 1.
Miami is forced to play this a little bit differently, and so is Clemson now that the match is back tied. 2 minutes, approaching 2 minutes left in this second match. Again, Clemson is on the back foot, down 1 game in a best-of-3 series. The ball gets a little precarious towards the middle of the net, but Milan looking to try and get some more. Massa with the demo onto Ample, going to force the game to slow down for Miami. They aren't able to get as much out of this offensive push as they might have liked as Clemson try and get the ball back out. Ample is going to be there to respond. Bubble 2, Milan collapse, and now the reverse hit sends the ball back towards Clemson's side, and Ample getting a nice hit off the side. The ball barely going to miss the net as no one from Miami is going to be there to collect, but now Milan collapse hitting it back up. Ample tries to fly up, but is met up in the air by JTY.
Yeah, Clemson putting in the pressure again. A great fly comes in from Beans, but won't be able to find the touch. Clemson again, Massau, probably one of the most aggressive players we've seen so far from the side of Clemson, always just sending in every boost. I mean, look at this, already back it down at 0, just had 100. Is just going every single time. An incredibly aggressive play style, but I mean, that's the thing, right? Once you find out that Miami likes to play tempo, Clemson's like, fine, we'll play your tempo game, but we'll do it back. And that's what we're seeing. 1 minute left, 1-1 here. Clemson back on the offensive foot. Bubble, no boost remaining, can't play the defensive side. Clemson's looking to get this one back in the goal.
Back up in the air now. Mylon collapse and Ample fighting for control of that ball. Massau is going to fly in using 60 boost to get a touch on the ball. A mid-air collision as Beans destroys Bubble. The ball is sitting a little dangerously close to Clemson's net. The shot tries to come in from Mylon collapse, but going to hit right off the right side of the ball. Bubble now chasing the ball on the wall, flying up to meet it as Massau. The ball isn't going to go in that easily. Passes it back to the middle. The demo. Mylon collapse with the shot. Beans right there in good position to get the save. 20 seconds left. Miami in the driver's seat. Doesn't want to send this match to overtime and potentially a game 3. They would prefer to end it right now. The shot through the middle into the net, but no, just off the side. 10 seconds left. The ball goes back towards Miami's end. Maybe they just kind of want an overtime.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question now, right? Do you play for OT or do you play for golden goal here? And it looks like neither one of these teams wants the ball to touch, but we will be getting our first golden goal overtime situation. For those of you who are unaware, that means first goal to go in will take this map. The time is infinite for this game now. We could go here for the next 20 minutes, Denny.
For the next 20 minutes?
It is possible.
The next 20 hours.
Oh, that is okay.
It would be daunting, no, but I mean, if any teams are going to do it, it kind of seems like the bend but don't break kind of an aspect of these teams. Ample looking to get in, but JTY is able to fly up, meet him in the air. The hit, back in to Clemson zone as they try to clear the ball and hopefully get a push of their own going.
Yeah, and you know, the best thing about these two teams competing, the best thing about this overtime is it wouldn't be possible without Esports UNC ECC. So a big thank you goes out to them as we're now 45 seconds in. Clemson and Miami. The boost is in the favor of Clemson, but the ball is not.
Ball is not, but like we said, the boost is a resource and it is able to get that ball back into Miami's zone, but the rotations are on point. Mylon collapse and Amp both sitting pretty with pretty much max boost are going to be able to do almost whatever they want. Now Clemson has to waste people on the rotate. Massau almost gets the shot in, but it's just going to miss. Mylon collapse with more boost than Beans is able, or JTY, able to take control, but now Miami have to be careful and don't let Clemson get too much off of this push. JTY looking to get it back as the ball goes now back into Clemson zone. Ample flies up off the ceiling. Mylon collapse, but JTY is there to send it away.
Yeah, and you know, one of the crazy things that you really have to be worried about when it comes to overtime, especially as the time keeps ticking up and up and up, is these players will get tired. These players are going to be so scared that even one misstep is going to ruin that goal. And losing an OT, especially as you approach 2.5 minutes, approach 5 minutes, a full length of another Rocket League game, is you're like, oh, that was so winnable. There were so many things we could have done, but you can't let that affect you. Clemson needs this win to just go into a game number 3 for this best of 3, but we're already 2 minutes in here.
This game, we might be buckling in for the long haul. Mylon collapse now. JTY, we've been saying their names a lot. The ball goes under JTY, but above the crossbar. No dice there for Miami as they continue this offensive push. The rebound, Mylon collapse, sends it. It's going to be a little wide. Ample now tries to pinch it off, but instead the touch is going to go Clemson's way. Back into Miami's defensive zone as Bubble now tries to hit it back up, but the rotations are on point for Clemson. They are there. The touch is going to go a little awry, passed over to Massau, and now fight between Bubble, back to Massau, just barely misses the shot, and like that, one opportunity is going to be open for Ample. He has empty net, the demo, but the ball rolls into the goal. Miami take game 2 and the first series 2-1.
What a demo comes out from the University of Miami, and it just puts Clemson on the back foot, and they weren't able to find the goal. 2.5 minutes in, already half of another game going past in the OT, and Miami's able to take that. Now remember, just group stage, just not even like Clemson falls into a lower bracket here, right?
No.
They still get to play a lot more games just to decide the seeding for that bracket, but I mean, wow.
If that is any any hint for what we're going to see from today, we are in for a long day of Rocket League. This is making me realize that maybe I should stop screaming so much. But it's just so hard.
It is.
When the players are that fly, when they're moving with that much swagger, I mean, come on. How can we not get excited?
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, before the stream started, we were sort of predicting who we were going to see in the grand finals, some of these large matchups. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be totally honest here. I didn't see U Miami winning this.
You didn't? I don't think you said U Miami's name once.
I don't think I did.
No. So, right, Ryan's prediction, and again, I'm saying this is Ryan's thought. He thought this. He said, look, it's going to be Syracuse and it's going to be Clemson already. Miami kind of, but okay, in a way you did predict this. Because remember,
I did.
Right, if you care to tell us what you were kind of, what this thought process was.
Right, so okay, before the game started, one of the things that I was sort of thinking about was as we get closer, right, as we go through these group stages, there is a chance that we have some of these teams sort of have a Cinderella story, and where we may see the Syracuse-Miami game not happen in the grand finals, right? We may see it in a lowers finals. Right, or another time, right?
Yep.
And the reason for that is because you're going to have some of these teams like U Miami or like Louisville who are going to come out of nowhere and 2-0 some of these big teams.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw it right away. You said the only way that we're not going to see Clemson versus Syracuse in the grand finals is if we see them in some weird semifinal match or quarterfinal match because Clemson got upsetted by some Cinderella team. You pegged Louisville as maybe the to put on the glass slippers, so to speak. But
I mean, if the shoe fits, right?
If the
slipper fits.
I was thinking of another thing that has to do with fitting. That's topical, but we're not going to talk about that because it's probably not the best of this broadcast. Thank you for the replay. We need to see this, and I like as you see right there. This is the first goal that really kind of set the tone that let Clemson know Miami wasn't going to go down so easy, and then buckling down 4 minutes, right? Ample just finds that perfect touch, and no one from Clemson is there to cover.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I like in game one.
That's a sick goal.
Sorry. No, you're good. I mean, that's sort of what I was looking for. Just like with Miami, the way they played in round one or in match one is they were just so incredibly fast, right? They did not give Clemson the chance to set up any plays. They were just there to be the disruptor. And I mean, Rocket League's a wonderful game when it comes to teams like, right? But you're going to have teams like Miami where your entire strategy is just going to be disrupting the team.
Yeah.
And that's what Miami did. And, I mean, every play that Clemson wanted to do, they couldn't do.
And it honestly, while giving props to Miami, it kind of feels like Clemson didn't really play up to the potential. I mean, 2 sloppy plays in that first game. We saw the replay. We just saw the replay of that second goal. I mean, this was just a great play from Amber. It was. Kind of sneak the ball in over and then get the demo. But
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, right? With Miami, this. Probably so
would it have mattered?
I think it may have, right? I think the collision in general was an issue, right? If the collision was not there, I think there would have been a chance for Clemson to go in and save that goal. But I think even the collision, even if there wasn't a demo, the reason that was going to be so hard is now you're stuck. Now your momentum's gone. Yeah. You can't go back and defend that.
Exactly. It's a game. I mean, car soccer.
Yeah.
Cars got to move. Cars stop moving. It's hard for the cars to move again.
Yeah.
I'm trying to bridge the gap between these people who know the game and people like us who may have a little bit less experience with car soccer. But I mean, either way, I'm excited to see for the rest of the day how these teams kind of respond to each other and how they play off of that tempo game, how teams are able to control the time, because it really feels like in all the matches in that match that we just seen, in the previous matches we've casted for Syracuse, it feels like the team that controls the tempo of the match is the one that normally takes the victory.
Yeah, it really is. It really is just that control of tempo. Is once you get control, it doesn't matter if your team play is phenomenal. It doesn't matter if your passing play is phenomenal. It doesn't matter if you have boost control. If you have tempo control and you have the ball in your opposing team's field for 70% of the game, eventually a goal is going to go in, and it's going to be very difficult to come back from that, which we saw in both matches.
Yeah, right. It's like a Rocket League feels like this game where you just throw a bunch of bricks at a person, and eventually the person can't keep getting hit by bricks, so they fall. But it's like, so Rocket League, right? There's 2 people, and they're standing like 6 feet apart from each other, and they just have bricks.
Okay.
And they're just throwing it. They're just chucking bricks at each other, man.
Yeah.
And when you crumple, you lose. How many bricks can you take? To quote one of the wisest movies of all time, Dodgeball.
Okay.
If you can dodge wrench, you can dodge a ball. To put into Rocket League terms, if you can play soccer with the cars, man, you're looking pretty. You're looking good.
I'm loving this conversation. I really am. Like this is why I do this. You know, I love watching Rocket League, but I really enjoy casting with Danny. He always brings the light into the game. It's always something
that's what I'm here for. Providing that analysis that you wouldn't get anywhere else. For better or for worse. You know, you start to wonder maybe if you're the only one doing something, maybe it's not. Maybe there's a reason.
No, I think you're doing great. I think you should continue as is. But as we get ready for this next matchup, right, there is one thing I do want to quickly give a nice shout out to. And Danny, I mean, you kind of said earlier, we're trying to be good casters here, but we are, of course, a little partial to Syracuse. And there is a little exciting thing happening next fall. We got some new majors coming out, a new esports major.
Tell me about it.
I will tell you everything about it.
Oh.
Later. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
no, I'm not going to leave it on a cliffhanger. But no, we got a new esports major coming out next fall. It's going to have 3 different tracks. You got the design and media track, the communications track, and the management track. So, Danny, anything you want to do in esports, you can get a degree.
What if I want to get experience in the industry? What if I want to work with professional teams? What if I want to work with professional broadcasts, professional media? What if I want to create, man?
Well,
am I in the right spot?
Yeah, Dan, you are. You can do all of that. And you know, the best part is you get that through the degree. I can speak. I'm a caster. You can get all of that, right? And that is one of the best things about this degree is and you know, it's going to help you prepare, right? It's all about experiential learning. It's all about getting past beyond gaming, right? It is more than just the competitive environment, right? All these players, we're seeing some great plays from them, right? But once we get to see Syracuse later, right, we're going to see some phenomenal plays, not to be partial, but we're going to see some great plays coming out from them. We're going to see some risky plays with pinches. I'm really, really excited to see it. But also, one of the best things is, you know, if they don't want to be a competitive player, right? Maybe they don't want to be a pro. Maybe they don't want to go into RLCS. Now, granted, they probably could if they wanted to, but maybe they don't, right? Let's say hypothetically, right? Maybe they want to be a caster, right? They can, and they can easily go get that degree and do that for next fall. But I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it too. And right, this is just the start. What you see us doing, we are both students here. This broadcast is being run by a lot of students here. Yeah. Of course, also the wonderful, wonderful staff. Sean making this whole thing possible, but that is neither here nor there. This is kind of a thing that is really for the students, for us to learn, and for our competitive teams to compete, to play at the highest level. I mean, just think this semester when Syracuse really has started kicking esports up into the next gear, we've already seen some success. Our Counter-Strike team. We got to give them a shout out. Syracuse Counter-Strike now in the grand finals of NACE Varsity Premier. That's impressive.
Yeah, it really, really is. And as we get really close here into this next matchup, you know, Danny, one of the things that I really want to discuss, right, really want to go into detail about with these teams is, you know, when it comes to these tournaments, right, lands are a totally different story, right? And keep in mind, whoever wins this, we'll be getting that bid straight to the CECC championship in Arlington, Texas. That's right. And that's going to be a whole new story. But, right, when it comes to these tournaments, when there's so much on the line, so much to earn, so much to prove, it really is just, it's a matter of who wants it the most, right? It goes away from skill, right? It goes totally past, all right, am I better than you? It's now who wants it more? Who is going to put in the grind? Who is going to put in the dangerous plays? Who are going to be that team that stays together through 2.5 minutes of overtime, right? Who is that going to be? And we've already seen that with the U Miami and the Clemson game. Yeah. And if that's any correlation, I'm done with my bracket. That's already gone. So we don't need to worry about that anymore. But the next match is going to be one that I am a little curious for. Yeah. I'm not going to predict anything because clearly I'm just a caster person. It hasn't been great. No, it hasn't been great.
Hasn't been great. But up next, we will see Southern Methodist University taking on Wake Forest. Now, a really interesting match between these two ACC member schools in the ACEC qualifier. I'm really excited because I'm not too familiar with really either of these teams. So as we get into the first match, I'm excited to see how things start off.
Yeah, Wake Forest and SMU gonna be these two teams that we've seen a little bit of, as well as two teams that have really haven't we haven't seen much from in general outside of really the competition, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And you blink and you miss it. SMU finds themselves on the scoreboard first. Let's see what happens. Gavino just off the top. The touch didn't really come in for Wake Forest. Just a simple mechanical mistake, and the margins are so slim. That's going to net a goal for SMU.
Yeah, SMU starting off strong. Keep in mind, this is a tournament for ACC member schools. SMU, a rather new team to the ACC members, and they're a team that can play at this level, right? They've proven that they can play at this level, and Wake Forest, a team that is also very, very good. We've seen a little bit from them in the past of Rocket League, but all things considered, these are two teams we haven't seen much of, right? And that's why we're watching them now to see truly what should we be expecting going forward in this tournament.
And right now, another shot from Malone tries to get in to tie Wake Forest up. They do not want to keep sitting down, losing a goal, but oh my God, you blink and you miss it again. A nice pass up to Gavino, and he's just able to just stick that ball right in the thing. You see the beautiful pass from Junior up, and Seeds from Wake Forest unable to really contest.
Yeah, SMU just kind of going at it right now. I mean, we're seeing some really good plays coming out from them. I'm liking the passing style, right? One of the things that we mentioned briefly in the previous match is Miami is a disruptor team. They make it difficult to make these passes, but SMU, I mean, we're seeing some really good plays coming out from them. They're playing to each other's strengths. They're watching these passes. If you watch each member of this team, every one of them is ready. Watch, see, one goes down, not quite able to find the pass, but SMU was there ready for it.
Yeah, SMU is just kind of lying and waiting. They're fine with letting Wake Forest take some of these touches because they know that the ball is going to swing back around, and eventually, like we were talking about with the bricks, it's going to be one brick too many. They know, again, you don't have to throw the most bricks, you just have to throw more bricks than your opponent. SMU doing a great job, throws that ball up in the air. Malone is able to find it with the contest. No one's going to be there. The tap in from Seeds, and Wake Forest gets on the board.
Wake Forest back in this game here, only about a minute 44 in. That was some quick maths for you folks. And now with this, right, Wake Forest one goal, not even halfway through this first match, finding their way through. This is that one little kink in SMU's armor, right? That is the smallest crack, and we've seen it. They have great passing, but they do like to overcommit.
Yeah, they do like that. But I mean, it's working. 2-1. They're still up. So if they can find more opportunities than their opponents, again, the shot comes in. Gavino and Boris able to combine to send away that shot from Seeds, but Boost looking very healthy for Wake Forest. The ball is back in SMU's line. Gavino swings up, picks up a little bit more boost. The shot comes in to get it back into Wake Forest's side. Coming in from the top, Gavino unable to find the touch, and now Malone's bringing it right back. Trevor's able to get the touch there, but Mr. Junior sends it right back out. Fighting in this corner, the ball's right in front of the net. SMU finally the touch to send it back out.
Yeah, and I'm really liking this adaptation from SMU so far. I mean, we saw some pretty big overcommits coming out from them earlier, and that's what gave Wake Forest that first goal, right? But with this, they're not overcommitting as much anymore, right? Now they're kind of backing up, and they're playing a little bit safer, and Wake Forest can't find another goal.
No, Trevor does find the demo onto Malone. Fighting in front of the net, Malone 40 boost, furious on 0, but Seeds was the one with the 100, is able to pick up where his teammate left off. The shot goes to shoot it back towards SMU's goal. Wake Forest trying to even this matchup, flying in the air, the ball, a little bit of a no man's land, a dangerous spot. Gonna be no problem for Gavin. Furious though on the wall, it doesn't seem like SMU just able to get there. The shot was a little wide. 1 minute and 40 seconds left. Seeds finds the touch off the side, just able to get the touch on it to prevent the goal there for Wake Forest.
That would have been a worm burner if I've ever seen one going straight to the goal, but just in time, SMU was there ready to stop it. And really that's one of the big things that you have to worry about for Wake Forest is they're going to throw these bullets straight up the net. And if you're not ready for it, they will find a goal, right? But SMU is doing a good job. Now they got 2 on the net. Watching that rotation, a little bump comes in, and Seeds won't be able to get back to that encounter in time.
Few shots send each own way. Gavin coming in, able to get that ball out. Now SMU looking to pick up where they left off. A minute left in this game. Offense is a form of defense, so SMU, just has to keep their buckles plugged in. Seeds gets the demo onto Trevor now. Hopefully this will give Ethereus an opportunity to pick up some boost, but the ball back towards SMU and the pass. Seeds from absolutely nowhere, able to get that ball out of there. An excellent save from Seeds.
Seeds sprouted and became a tree
That's
to
right.
find that beautiful shot. I know that's
the
not
counter,
zero, but you know, it's whatever, right? SMU though back on this offensive push, doing such a good job with their rotations. Wake Forest is putting it back directly, finding their own rotations, and this ball is just going back and forth. And this is one of the scary things of Rocket League. 10 seconds left. That ball is going to go everywhere at every given point in time.
7, 6, 5, double. Wake Forest have to find one off the top crossbar, a little too high. Malone picks it up again off the top. That ball is going to hit the ground. It got a little close at the end there, but SMU able to take that first game off of Wake Forest.
SMU 2-1, a very, very impressive game coming
That's
out. I mean, right off the start, too. I mean, what was that? About 20 or so seconds in, SMU finds the first goal.
A quick update from the other games, because again, we aren't seeing every game in this group stage. We are just seeing a few. 2-0. Georgia Tech was able to take down Wake Forest in their first match. So Wake Forest is looking to try and come back, right? Try and show the other schools in this ACEC qualifier that they can play. Syracuse, you see it right here, able to beat Louisville 2-0, who you thought might have been the dark horse of this tournament.
I did.
Cinderella isn't going to find her slippers against Syracuse.
No, does not look like it. But then again, Syracuse, one of those powerhouses, we kind of expected them to do very, very good, right? But this, once again, folks, if you are a Wake Forest fan, if you're a Syracuse fan, a Georgia Tech fan, a Louisville fan, or a fan of Rocket League, none of these teams are out yet.
No.
Right? All these teams are going to keep going. Granted, I do want to mention, like you just said, right? Wake Forest did just lose to Georgia Tech to a 2-0, right? So far, everything has been a 2-0 we've seen so far. They need this win, right? You don't want to be going into this group stage or into this bracket stage already down 2 games. Right, you want to have some sort of fighting chance, because if not, you're going to be seeded against whoever goes to whoever seed 1 going into that bracket.
That's right, and it's going to be important to try and make sure that you're able to, at least for your own ego as well, just to take a match at some point. It's going to be important for Wake Forest to try and bring it back, and that is what they are going to do. It tries to send one in, but at the beginning of the match, SMU is going to be right there. Seeds able to pick that ball up as SMU tries to start this match off strong, keep their momentum from the last game rolling.
Yeah, I really like how SMU is playing. You can tell that they're playing in these different locations, ready to really take any one of these encounters, especially from last game to this game. Immediately off the rip, SMU had 1 player midfield, 1 player goal, and 1 player who was ready to take the shot on to Wake Forest. All of them prepared, no matter where that ball was going, unless it went to the far left side of the field. Everyone on SMU was prepared to take this ball, and Wake Forest, on the other hand, still playing more as a club, right? And this is okay, but it's going to cause you to more take these triple commits rather than these good passing games, which is what SMU is doing. But
Malone off the top, able to positively shoot, off that pass from Seeds. I mean, it just seemed like, who was that, Mr. Junior was flying in the air, wasn't able to quite find that tap, and easy cleanup for Wake Forest.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Wake Forest, that's one of the things with this group, right, is if you play as a club, you definitely have the ability to take more of the mechanical prowess and really show yourself as a player. But with SMU, they're playing more of that separated, that more passing game. It means you're not going to be able to find all the best defenses in the world. It means you're not going to be able to find all the best mechanical plays in the world. It means you're not going to be solo dribbling in the air or finding these flip resets. Wake Forest can, and they're showing us how it's going to work. But that ball's on the goal. Mr. Junior was able to find it. Just been a little bit of a threat that needed.
Again, it seems like Wake Forest lost a little bit of discipline on the rotates. You see Malone and Seeds both play in and both miss. 2 sending in, getting nothing in return is going to be super easy for Mr. Junior to just find that opening.
Yeah, with this now 1-1, an even game here with SMU and Wake Forest.
Only 1 minute and 27 seconds now into this match. The ball flies in. Gavino is able to get that save, but Malone from the top rope looking at it isn't able to find the correct angle to get it in. SMU shoves it back towards Wake Forest's size. Seeds, though, going to be right there on the rotate, bounce it off the wall, up to himself, looking to try and get the double tap off of SMU, but not able to quite find it. The center would be there, but everybody from SMU up on the rotate, able to get that ball back into Wake Forest's zone.
Yeah, and we're going to see Ethereus tries to hit it, but it will be Gavnino who is able to find that touch instead. Now SMU looking to get it in, but nope, will be sent straight back to midfield. But in return, SMU finding, once again, the rotations are really phenomenal, going in, finding their way to send it back over to the side of Wake Forest. Boost, though, not in the favor. The demo is, and this could be SMU's opening to find that shot. Oh, or not.
Or not. Gavnino is able to come in from the side with that boost, but now going to be at 0. Is going to have to treat that midfield boost. Isn't going to be up. Going to have to go all the way back to the corner. And in that time, Wake Forest can try and pick it up, but Trevorus is there with the rotates, flying backwards. Ethereus with a nice tap. Seeds flying up, able to get that nice touch on the ball with the demo too. Send the ball up. Malone trying to go up for the save. 5 cars collide in midair. Send the ball out, and now Wake Forest really buckling in on this defensive push. As people say, a counterattack would work completely fine as Lightning McQueen here now tries to get that ball up above the net. Furious, Wake Forest going to be there again, tied 1-1. SMU kind of getting stalled out on this push. It feels like the rotates aren't in the right spot.
Yeah, we're seeing really good plays from both these teams every time shots are going in. But unfortunately, the total play is not a good pass off the top, but it will be sent down. SMU not going to be able to find that shot. Mr. Junior wants to find it, though. We're seeing such good plays coming out from Wake Forest. But one thing I do want to mention is, yeah, SMU's not finding the value they want, but they are keeping pressure on that goal.
Oh my God, and what is happening? They are keeping pressure, but it doesn't matter how much pressure you keep. If you get knocked out by one brick to your head, it feels like, again, no one was there. Mr. Junior with 0 boost left as the last line of defense. There's nothing you can really do against that.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the dangers of when you keep peppering down a goal, right? Is eventually you have to retreat, especially when Wake Forest. That's one thing that I was going to mention is, you know, yes, SMU was doing a good job keeping the pressure, but Wake Forest was keeping their boost, right?
Yeah.
They were not letting SMU get any value off of it. And because of that, they were forced to retreat. They were forced to go back to their own goal. And with that, we saw Mr. Junior had no ability to find that defense with the boost. And Wake Forest was able to bring themselves up in this series with a minute left.
Clock ticking down, an opening here for SMU. No one is going to quite be there to pick it up. The demo comes in, but the ball somehow sneaks by. Ka-chow, Lightning McQueen. Do you see that?
A great play comes in, and it just, the demo and the slight touch to be able to redefine the trajectory of that ball. And SMU, you were behind for a second, and now you're even again. Wake Forest and SMU, a very competitive match here. Keep in mind, folks, SMU only 1 game away from 2-0 in Wake Forest, and only 1 game away for Wake Forest to going 0-2 in this group stage. SMU's not done yet.
No, they are not. They do not want both of these teams fighting to keep the momentum, keep their ego kind of on their side as Seeds takes that ball up. Trevor just has to find himself in a proper spot to deny that first kind of offensive push, but as we all know, the real plays come in the rebounds. SMU looking to get a good bounce, sending that back towards Wake Forest's side. Gavnino able to fly up, meet that ball there, tries to prevent this counterattack, but Seeds launching the ball in. The last line of defense is Trevor. If Wake Forest can find a good touch here to send it in, things might start to look a little bit different. The clock starts ticking down. 7 seconds, 6 seconds. Wake Forest has to try and score here to prevent us from going into overtime, but feels like the ball is going to touch the ground. To overtime we go.
Well, you know, Danny, this is the second overtime we've seen on the podcast today.
Wonderful.
We're doing a great job predicting these games. Well, okay, I'm not, but production is at finding the games to watch to go into OT here. So, I mean, once again, right? Quick reminder, folks. First goal to go into the goal will take this victory, and we're about to see it.
No, we're not, Ryan. When will you learn to stop predicting it? Right here, though, SMU coming back with a push of their own. Seeds up in the ball. Mr. McQueen tries to find it, but no! Gavnino is able to get in there at the last second to disrupt that almost sure goal from Wake Forest, but 40 boost, Gavnino picks up a little bit more. Healthy boost for SMU. Are they able to turn this counterattack? Seeds has to go back, collect boost of his own. Malone flying off the side. Junior gets it up. No one's there, but SMU probably wasn't ready for the push to go that way. Ball careening back towards the middle, sent right back into SMU zone. The shot on the net, though, the response is there.
And one of the big differences between this game and the Clemson-U Miami game is this is a lot faster. Right? I mean, yes, we talked a lot about tempo in that previous match, but with this one, it's just back and
Whoa! It's not! Ryan, when will you learn? Gavnino just gets the good touch. I mean, the dribble, it's pretty much all Gavnino. Able to get the tap back off the seeds. Who wasn't able to come meet the ball with maybe as much force as it required. And SMU find that match. Send Wake Forest 0-2 so far in the group stage.
Yeah, and that's now 2 overtimes we've seen. And SMU going to be able to take that one out. And I am curious, right? I know we're not going to see this game for a little bit longer. We may see it next, depending on the group stage. But I am curious, right? One of the good things about SMU is they did play more as a team, right? Wake Forest, they had their clump. Right, that's how they play. They play as a clump. They played for their mechanical skills. They played to find those goals, right? And we saw a lot of times, right? They were really good at finding the ability to get those double taps, to find the dribbles, to find the flip resets. SMU, excuse me, they didn't really play that way, right? They played for passing. They played to really play with each other. And one of the things that I'm curious to see if we see this match later on is Miami versus SMU. Because one of the things that made Miami so strong is they're just a disruptor team. That's what they love to do, and it's what caused Clemson such a struggle, right? So I want to see, is SMU going to be prepared for Miami's play style?
That's going to be a really interesting question because, like you said, it feels like Wake Forest just didn't play that kind of role well enough. They bended. Mm-hmm. They didn't force SMU to break that much, but Miami really was able to find the touches and find the taps that forces you to break. It's a really interesting kind of philosophical question here is whether it is better to play consistently and always kind of try and control the ball or to play disruptor because you're going to find your chances, right?
Yeah, and we saw that a few times, right? Wake Forest was able to find those chances a few times. We didn't see many demos, though, in this game, which was a lot different than the previous one we saw, right? In this game, it really was just a 3-on-3 for the majority of the game. A couple times we saw some demos, but not many of them were as crucially needed as the one we saw earlier today.
And again, right there with a replay like this, right? That's what we were talking about. Just able to kind of wait for SMU to make a mistake rather than necessarily forcing them to make a mistake. That's kind of what felt like the mindset difference between these two teams. Wake Forest was ready to wait and pounce, whereas SMU wanted to put Wake Forest in a place where they couldn't possibly defend themselves.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly just really emphasize this, right? SMU, a team that is new to becoming an ACC member school in this ACEC tournament, and definitely a team that not many people have seen, not many people have heard of, and they're coming out strong, already taking out a team like Wake Forest, a very well-known team, and I mean, that puts you in a good spot. It makes you a team that's gonna be scary going forward if you continue to play like this. But one difference I saw that I am a little intrigued about is a lot of this gameplay was ground.
Yeah.
We did not see much air drilling. We did not see much top of the rope gameplay, right? We saw a lot of it down. I mean, we're watching the replays now, right? I mean, very rarely did you see the ball really go anywhere above 50% of that goal. Yeah. Right? It was always on the ground, which is not usual for high-level play, right? You don't see it often, and because of that, it threw some teams off guard.
It really did. Yeah, look, on the ground, that's where I like to play when I play Rocket League. I haven't quite figured out how to control my car in the air, so a type of Rocket League that I'm definitely more familiar with. Just kidding, I'm terrible. But I mean, yeah, and it felt like the ground game, SMU were able to kind of take that. So, like you said, it's going to be interesting seeing an aerial disruptor approach, trying to play against a more controlled, grounded approach. It's like it's almost double jeopardy in the differences of play styles.
Yeah, and you're forced to change that play style, right? We've briefly discussed it. Is when it comes to the style of gameplay, is things are always different, right? Every game is different. Every match is different in a game like Rocket League because it's all about who can adapt better. Yep. And we saw that in the Clemson game. We saw that in this game with Wake Forest and SMU. Is these teams know how to adapt. It's just a matter of how much can you adapt? How much can you endure before you are out of your comfort zone as a team?
Yeah, and SMU was able to hold on there.
Yeah.
Miami was able to force Clemson to fall off the ledge.
Yeah.
Right. So I agree. It's interesting because it's kind of this question in life, right? Of like, how do we want to approach our days on this earth?
Oh,
do we want to kind of as the S, see, right? The S gets it. See, everybody, we're all on the same page here. No, but it's like, do you want to approach your days doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Or do you want to sometimes let loose? You want to go live on the water. You want to ski down a hill. Yeah. Sometimes, right? Imagine Rocket League like a mountain, right? Mountain analogies always work.
Okay.
At the top of the mountain, you have the best RLCS team.
Okay. Yes.
At the bottom of the mountain, you have me. Now, how do you climb that mountain? How do you make sure? Because as you climb higher and higher, you got to be even more perfect and even better, because eventually that mountain's going to go so high, you fall off, you die.
Okay, yeah.
You see where I'm going with this?
Sure, yeah.
So it's kind of, where on the mountains do these teams fall? SMU, little higher than Wake Forest, Miami, today, able to kind of end up a little higher than Clemson. And it's interesting to see how all these teams kind of pan out.
Yeah, and I guess as the teams continue to work with Danny's wonderful analogy here of climbing up that mountain, they're going to go ahead, they're going to get their equipment to climb up a mountain, maybe get some camping supplies as well. We're going to do the same. I'm going to talk to Danny about the mountain a little bit, and when we return, we're going to have another wonderful match, potentially another overtime. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It is the ACEC qualifier tournament. We've seen some pretty good games here so far today with SMU taking down Wake Forest 2-0. The first game we saw was Miami upsetting Clemson, but Ryan, some more games happened while we were gone.
Yes, a few more games finished up, and the first one was Q's beating Clemson 2-1. That was the match that I was curious to see about how that was going to happen. Clearly, it was a close game, 2-1. That wasn't the only 2-1 game we had though while we were away. The other one was Miami beating Louisville 2-1. So clearly, Louisville was able to find a little bit of a crack in Miami's disruptive armor. So we've got some more competitive games that happened off stream, but now we've got a little bit more of some games that are going to be closer as we approach this next one here. So I'm very curious.
I'm very excited. This next one is, if I have it correctly, is going to be Syracuse versus Miami. So our first chance today to see some of the boys in orange wearing this. I should not take that. This thing is metal, by the way. I thought it was like plastic.
I think mine is too, actually. Yeah, mine's also.
Look at this metal work. They got a metal school here on campus. Because I was talking to my friend about welding, and I was like, I want to learn how to weld. And he was like, yeah, if you go to the metal shop, there's like 3 metal shops. There's like 2 on campus and 1 at the warehouse. You can take a 6-week course, then you can weld.
Dude, I just talk.
Right? But imagine you can weld. Wouldn't that be sick? Anyway, okay. We don't need that because in the Rocket League universe, they don't need to weld their cars.
No, they don't.
Because they're
pre-made eggs.
Pre-made eggs. Now, okay, back to what we were talking about, right? So Cuse beat Clemson 2-1.
Yes.
Miami beat Louisville. Cuse also beat Louisville. Miami beat Clemson. Theoretically, Cuse should beat Miami, and I think here we'll get a test to see how good Miami really is because Syracuse do have kind of a wilder style. So what happens when these two teams who both play kind of crazy, what happens when 2 whirlwinds crash into each other?
They make a bigger one.
They make a bigger.
So
what does that mean in terms of Rocket League?
It means we're going to see a very chaotic match. I'm willing to bet. Very, very chaotic. But I mean, that's sort of one of the fun things about Rocket League, right? Is when you have different teams that play on different levels. Obviously, we've kind of alluded to it a little bit that Syracuse plays very, very weird in some situations. And to give you a little bit of behind the scenes sort of insight, one of the things that I personally find very interesting with Syracuse's team is you don't normally play on the pinch, okay? Yeah. And that pinch is when two players go at the ball at the same time, different directions, or they hit it against the wall and it pinches against and it flies across the screen somewhere.
Yeah.
It's always random, right? You can try and maneuver it, but it doesn't really go in your favor. Syracuse loves to play the pinch. And with that, it's very disruptive because you don't know where the ball is going to go. Miami, a very disruptive team. So I am curious to see how these teams are going to play out. Syracuse also is a great team when it comes to team play and passing. So we're going to see some very different play styles colliding. And I mean, here's the deal, right? You asked what happens when 2 Cyclones hit each other, right? Well, one is it becomes bigger and it becomes very scary. Or 2, one of them is going one direction, one is going the other, and the one that's going the other fades away.
Oh,
yes.
A little bit of violence in the Cyclones. Wow. So we're going to see some violent Rocket League. That's what I heard. Okay, Ryan loves violence.
Whoa. No, back up.
Look, I'm just trying to process what you're saying. I'm trying to like translate from person who knows a lot about Rocket League, person who knows a little bit about Rocket League. People who might be watching don't know that much about Rocket League. And what I heard from that was violence is the answer.
No. That is not well, okay. I actually do want to talk about demos a little bit.
Okay, yes, actually, right. Okay,
on that topic.
We do not like violence. Syracuse University does not condone violence.
Goal leaders.
But we do want to take a look at the goal leaders real quick before we actually take a discussion on demos. Starting off, 2 Syracuse players, Mason Starr and Pat, 5 and 3. Ample, one of those players we saw earlier, 2. Malone at 2.
But Alec.
Yes.
Alec at the top with 9. I mean, more kills than than Mason and Pat combined. More kills than Pat, Ample, and Malone combined. Alec's been fracking.
Yeah. And with that, right, I mean, you're making 9 goals. That's a lot.
That's a lot,
right?
Of goals.
I mean, that's less than 2 and 3 combined, right? That's less than Mason and Pat combined. And with that, I mean, let's see. Georgia Tech already played the game 2-0. right, against Wake Forest. And I mean, I guess it's possible you got 9 goals in those 2 games, right?
Yep.
But I mean, I mean, you've played two matches, right? 1 or 2 matches by now, and you've gotten 9 goals individually.
Just yourself.
Like
that's scary.
I did not expect to see Georgia Tech come out and do things like this. But I guess, I mean, you know, I did say something about a Cinderella story. Maybe Georgia Tech is the one that comes out on top.
Maybe there's a third cyclone. It adds infinite, it's an exponentially chaotic, exponential increase in chaoticity.
Yeah.
When you add in a player, no, okay. Jokes aside, 9 goals is crazy.
It is, yeah.
And I mean, you kind of expected Syracuse, right? They've played now, I guess, 5 matches, 5 games of Rocket League.
Yeah.
And we see them with 5 and 3, respectively. But Georgia Tech, right? They've only played 1 against Wake Forest, 1 or 2.
So, yeah.
So, and even if they have played 2, that's still kind of crazy. The save leaders here, as we see, Massall from that first game with 13.
Okay, I actually want to talk about this real quick, right? Okay, so 13 for Masso, right? I mean, on the side of Clemson, clearly a lot of pressuring happened, and we definitely saw that in the U-Miami game earlier, right? It makes a little sense, right? A lot of those saves definitely came from that. Gavilan with 9, Ample with 9, Louisville, right? Now, we haven't seen any of their play yet, but, I mean, 8 and 7, right? I mean, that's a lot of saves already. So it really gives you a question of, does that mean that Louisville is just making some crazy saves, or are they a very passive team that's been holding back?
Well, they have lost all their games so far. Going down 2-0 to Cuse and 2-1 to Miami. So it's interesting to kind of see, right? Maybe they are playing passive against Cuse and Miami, who are 2 very chaotic teams. So that's probably why they've accumulated so many saves across them, is because they're just trying to defend against the cyclonic attack of Cuse and Miami.
Yeah, I do want to quickly mention, right, this Cuse and Miami game, right? Not only is it going to be a wild cyclone of events, but whoever wins this will get a bye going to that bracket stage. So very, very big. Will already put you up. And when you're talking about 7 or 8 teams, right, in a double elimination bracket, getting past round 1, that's wonderful, right? Because now you don't got to go up against potentially an underdog team.
Yeah, you hate the death of all teams is always going to be that one team that's sitting on the bottom that just kind of has nothing to really play for, or not nothing to play for, but they have no pressure behind them. Yeah. So they're fine to take risks. And you know, maybe if you played a match, if you played the 1 against the 8 seed, if you play that 10 times, 9 times the 1 seed wins, but
that one time
could be the real life that we live in. And so that's why a bye is just so valuable, not to mention also just like mentally.
Yeah.
Staying locked in. Rocket League can be a really complex game, but we can put that all aside as we see a double attack on the kickoff. Syracuse Miami already starting off strong.
That was scary a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. I was wondering what that was gonna happen.
Imagine, okay, all right, so now we're starting to back up. We're starting to maybe settle in, if we ever will settle in truly to this game, this high-powered cyclonic match between these 2 teams. Mason Star now sends it back. Mylon Collapse is going to be there on the response. The kick comes in, sent back, but
I'm liking this plays here coming out from the side of Miami. They're not quite playing disruptive, right? We're actually seeing very, very safe plays coming out from Miami. They know Syracuse is a strong team. They know they are a very, very, very gruesome team when it comes to some of these plays, and so they're being careful, right? They don't want to give the chance to Syracuse on a potentially crucial failure on some of these disruptive plays. But now the ball is on the side of Syracuse's field. This is where Miami wants to be. They can be disruptive, they can be aggressive, and now they're going to play that to their strengths. They don't have quite as enough boost as Syracuse does.
No, they're able to send the ball back. Syracuse now are the ones running out of boost. Mason Star is sitting there, 100 boost, Gavilan picks it up, but Pat is low. Miami with healthy boost among all 3 are looking to try and get an all-offensive push in, but My Lungs collapses the car of Pat. Now they're going to be up 1, trying to convert, but Syracuse still have the ball. They're going to be in there. Lung Collapse is able to send it back away.
Yeah, with this Syracuse, an incredible job here, and they're able to find a good way to go back on this defensive side, a good way to really fight towards their offensive side as well. And with that now, they're able to find a shot. Will be Pat through all of this chaos. It goes right off a bubble, I think, as well. And yep, there it is. Just Syracuse able to find the thread.
You just got to find that one touch, and Ample coming in a half, maybe a little bit more boost to get there a little quickly. But either way, the goal is going to go towards Syracuse, who start it off a minute and 48 seconds into the action with the goal. And looking for another one, a quick shot in from Gavilan, Mason Star. They combine to send it up 2-0. Looks like what happened here. Gavilan just shoots one off the top. The rebound off the crossbar, and Mason was just ready.
Yeah, I mean, this is where things get dangerous, right? Miami, they know that disruptive play style is going to potentially punish them, and Syracuse, they know that that's where Miami is when they're comfortable. They're comfortable when Syracuse can't get the value.
Oh, Syracuse looking to keep this momentum up. They almost get a nice rebound off the side of the net, but either way, Milan Collapse and Miami looking to try and equalize this and get a little bit more attention, a little bit more shots scored on the board. Pat is going to come through with the demo onto Ample, and now Mason Star is ready to pick up the ball. Flying in against two members of Miami, isn't able to get the ball, but Gavilan, a shot fires right off the top, and now Pat is trying to come back.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Miami wants, though. They want to force Syracuse out of this boost, out of their own side, and they're doing a good job, but Mason Star gonna be there. A great shot comes in as well. Off the top will be Syracuse ready to find these goals. Miami very uncomfortable. A shot goes in, but Mason Star won't let it finish.
Has the save, but the demo immediately from Milan Collapse sends it right back towards Miami's favor, but Pat, with some boost, is trying to get the ball out of his zone. Milan Collapse, though, is there to respond. Gavilan trying to get it off, gets it right back towards the middle. Mason Star right there to pick it up. Bubble Ample now converging in. The demo, if Miami wants to score, they got to do it now. Gavilan is able to hit that ball up in the air, but flying for it. Milan Collapse, Gavilan off the top, just able to get it. The ball now floating in front of the cage. Syracuse are going to be able to stop it just for ninth right now. But Ample comes back in. Oh my God. We are not getting even a moment to rest, as it seems like finally Syracuse get a moment to collect some boost and get the ball out of their zone.
Yeah, and with this, right, we talked about it, the peppering of goal, eventually something will go in, but one thing that Miami struggled to do is stop Syracuse from getting those boosts back, and because of that, they were able to find that offensive push again. But look at this, right, only two members are able to get that boost back. Syracuse is forced to retreat, forced to take this rotation, but immediately Pat will come in, ready to hit the ball, finds the flip reset, but doesn't have the boost to use it, and Syracuse won't be able to find that again. But Miami, 50 seconds left, they need to find a way to disrupt Syracuse's play style.
Yeah, Syracuse up 2 goals. I mean, Miami's got to find something to get it in. It seems like this Miami, who was playing such a good job in that disruptor role, is now having a hard time countering the disruption of Syracuse as Mason Star and Gavilan each combined. Gavilan was just able to kind of throw the shot across for Mason Star to get it right back in.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things with Syracuse, right, is they're always ready. The communication from Syracuse is always on point, always there. You know, I mean, these are plays that you don't normally see, right? Syracuse, they just slowly walk that ball up to the goal, and then boom, right into the goal, right? Syracuse, as a team, their play style, their passes to each other are so incredibly tight that sometimes some of these disruptor teams like Miami can't get the value they want.
There's no opportunity to even start to make that disruption play if you're playing so kind of sick. Mason Star, 10 seconds left. Syracuse just honestly just want to let this clock hit 0, go into the next game. Although we do know Syracuse has a propensity to try and score when we're sitting at 1 second before the clock or before the ball even touches the ground, which oh my God, right on top of Ample's head, trying to fly up in the air. Miami looking to get a shot and take it all the way back towards their own end, trying to reset, pick up some boost. This is always a really awkward amount of time in the game because Miami's not going to score 3 goals in 0 seconds.
I was worried there for a second. Syracuse, we saw Gavilan was using full boost, ready to just find that final goal. Syracuse likes to play the mental game of just demoralizing the opposing team. And I think if Syracuse was able to find that last goal there, that's kind of cruel.
It is kind of cruel, but I mean, we've seen it. I remember we were casting a game for Syracuse in their NACE Varsity Plus run, and I mean, they were up like 6-0, and the clock hit 0, and they got a 7. So they do like to play that mental game. But Miami, right? We talked about what happens when these two Cyclones meet each other, and Miami fell a little short in that first match.
Yeah, and with this, right, we talked about it just briefly. Now you got to adapt, right? Now you have to change something to be able to go up against Syracuse, a team that just went 3-0 against you really pretty easily, right? I mean, they had a couple scares, they had a couple times, but it gets a little bit scary, right? It gets a little bit in that situation where, okay, we did just lose 3 goals in a row, right? I mean, after you did so well against Clemson, too, you were able to stop their passing plays, you were able to disrupt them. Miami hasn't quite found the way to disrupt Syracuse yet.
Yeah, right. And it's hard because in trying to disrupt the other team, I mean, that's a big risk. That's a big risk you're taking when you try and like kind of find this one opening. If you're not able to get there, it's just going to backfire. So Miami has to be careful, has to play tight. Oh my God, that's not what we meant, Miami.
There's no analyzing here. I mean, like,
oh no, what on earth? So now the kickoff is something that seems pretty straightforward for everybody, but when you get better at the game, there's a lot more to it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, off that kickoff, a lot can happen, right? Normally, if you're the team that finds that good kickoff, you have one player stand back, you play the rotations, you get the boost, you maybe go for an offensive play, but you're really just trying to put your opposing team in a rough spot. But sometimes, just like we just saw off these kickoffs, you're going to see situations where the opposing team misses, right? They're not able to find the ball because it is a mental game, right? Syracuse played the ground. They did not flip into that ball. They didn't. Miami did, right? And because of that, Syracuse was able to just send the ball straight through. Miami flipped over the ball, and Gavilan was able to find a nice goal 2 seconds in. And, I mean, normally kickoff goals, right? Yeah, they're really cool, but they don't really mean the game, right? No. I mean, you're 2 seconds in, it just started, you still think of it as 0-0.
But it is a little demoralizing, and I mean the mid-air demo for Mason Star and the push from Syracuse. Ample's right there to pick it up. But now Syracuse in a position are way up in the boost economy. They're looking good. They're trying to make this happen. Syracuse, if they can keep this pressure up for the next 4 minutes, maybe they can find a few more goals. But Miami does not want to go down that easily. Ample coming in now with his teammates. Bubble and Lung each trying to come in and support his teammate, but Pat able to kind of massage that ball past the left flank into the zone of Miami. The shot comes in, but no, not able to get it. Ample now dribbling in. They could have an empty shot up on the net. If they're able to find this touch in, they're not. Gavilan able with his presence to kind of force Miami around, and that's going to make a little bit of a pause in this game as both teams jockey for position.
Yeah, and I mean, we're seeing a little bit of slightly different play coming out from Miami, right? They're playing a little bit more, finding out how to truly disrupt Syracuse. But, I mean, in the end, Syracuse is just finding a goal.
It sometimes is that simple.
And with that, I mean, what I was saying was, right, Miami was doing a good job trying to find that disruption. But unfortunately, Syracuse, with their communication, right, I mean, you knew they were ready for that, right? You knew that if they weren't able to make that goal, Gavilan was ready, right, to go in, find that shot just in case something didn't work in their favor, right? And that's exactly what happened. They were able to find a goal. They were able to find that extra shot. And now Syracuse 2 up, 3 minutes left. They're doing such an incredible job, just able to keep the pressure on Miami. And Miami's not able to keep the disruption on Syracuse.
No, they're not. Miami now down 2 goals, 2 minutes and 9 seconds into this second game. And keep in mind, these series are going to be best of 3 until we get to grand finals, so not that much room for error. Gavilan now throws it back up to the middle. Mason Star is right there on the repeat to pick the ball up. Now Mason Star throwing it back out, but Bubble and Pat each fly up. Mylon collapses, gets collapsed by Mason Star. Gavilan in the air trying to play for maybe a pinch off the ground, but Mylon collapse is going to be there. Ample with the tap off, and now if Bubble can find a nice shot onto the net, no, Mason Star is going to send it right back towards, and they could have an opportunity here. Ample going to get up there to disrespect, but Gavilan from the side able to put it in. Syracuse just consistently has one more car available.
Yeah, and we talked about it before. We talked about how in this situation, in these games, yes, it can start to snowball. It starts to snowball. It starts to get really scary. And Syracuse, they're snowballing this match. They're already one up. And folks, just to remind you again, whoever wins this will take that bye going into the bracket stage. Syracuse wants that bye. And frankly, with 6 goals compared to 0 and 2 minutes left, they're going to.
Well, Brian, we know what happens if you make predictions, but maybe this one will come to fruition as Gavilan with the assist for Mason Star. Look at this perfect pass right off the crossbar, and Mason Star is right there. The teamwork, the synergy of the Syracuse team is looking so hard to beat.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, with Syracuse 4-0 right now, I mean, there's only so much you can do, Gavilan. Chill. I mean, just off the kickoff, right? I mean, Syracuse, they know that they have done such an incredibly good job. They know their passing game is on point. They are warm. They are ready to go. They want to have that game. They want to go to this CECC championship in Arlington, Texas. And I mean, that's what their eyes are set on, right? They know they've already taken this so incredibly well. They know they're ready to go. And I mean, speaking of ready to go, I want to quickly mention, while this game is happening, Clemson also took a 2-0 lead against Louisville. So we're seeing these orange teams come out on top.
Miami is half orange. Maybe that's how they were able to get a dub onto Clemson, but not Syracuse as we approach 1:13 left in this game. The shot comes in from Bubble. Okay, so it would be a crazy comeback, but if you're going to do it, that's how you want to get it done. Ample off the top rope is able to get the pass into Bubble, who is able to shove that ball into the back of the net. Now, Miami have to keep this momentum, keep this foot on the gas pedal.
Yeah, and we know it's possible. I mean, Rocket League is a game where you can score a goal in 2 seconds. Gavilan. So it's entirely possible that Miami can bring this back up, but you need to basically replicate what you did against Clemson earlier today. You need to stop Syracuse from finding any goals, but not just that.
I mean, you need to just get a lot of good scoring chances on the goal. They are able to get it, but Pat is able to be there, tries to flip it back into the counterattack, but Ample in front of the net is able to find that first save. Miami has to work on getting the ball out of their zone, but
okay.
All right, this game might be over.
I mean, it's what happens, right? I mean, when you start to run away with these games, it becomes very demoralizing, right? Miami, they're trying, but they just weren't able to find the shot. They hit it off the top, and it looks like a little bit of a collision happened during that match there, and Miami scored on themselves. This is what happens when teams start to run away with these matches. You make mistakes, you get risky because you want to stay in the tournament, you want to stay in this stage, you want to perform well in the bracket. But because of this, Syracuse, they are able to capitalize on the mistakes. They're able to fake out these balls. And because they're doing that, Miami has just been struggling to find their way through.
I mean, it's been brutal. Syracuse has been on point mechanically and emotionally. Mason's Star looking for something a little crazy. Let's just let this timer run down to 0. Syracuse are going to get a first round bye. Gavilan.
No.
But it's like you're talking to a kid. Drop it. Drop the ball down. Drop it. Thank you. Syracuse are going to get a first round bye as we move into the playoffs. That's going to conclude the group stages for now.
Yeah, and Gavilan just wants to be at the top of the leaderboard. I think Gavilan saw that Alec was 9 goals.
Let me try. Let me go. I want it.
It really is just a battle, and that's when you have players like Gavilan and Alec, who we haven't seen yet, but we definitely will. When they're these top scorers, it doesn't just become a battle between Syracuse and Georgia Tech and Clemson, right? It now becomes a battle between Gavilan and Alec, right, to get that top scorer. So
plans within plans, games within games.
Exactly. And that's sort of the fun of some of these tournaments, right? Is, yes, you're playing for that qualifier, right? You're playing for that bid for the CECC. And it's great, right? But you also want to have fun. You also want to be like, yeah, I definitely outscored you by 1 or 2 goals, right? And that really is some of the fun of this tournament. And speaking of this tournament, just a special thanks once again to Esports U and CECC for making this all possible, for letting a lot of these ACC member schools compete in this ACEC qualifier for that game in Texas, that Arlington, Texas travel, that land that's going to be so fun. And Syracuse wants it.
I mean, Syracuse wants it, and they're showing you, as we see through the replays of kind of these games, I'm pretty sure Miami was only able to find one goal across both those matches, and that was kind of in the second game as time was running out. The game was pretty much all but over. So, I mean, in the replay feed, we're seeing a lot of orange, and there's no green to go with that orange.
Ooh. Yeah.
I mean, it's just Rocket League can be so pretty, even for someone who has no clue what they're watching, because at the end of the day, there's cards and there's a ball. And when you see something like that, that's pretty dope.
It's a very fluorescent design. Floral, not fluorescent.
It's approachable, and that's what I think makes Rocket League such a fun esport, is that someone who has literally never seen a game of Rocket League before, someone who doesn't even play video games, could understand what's going on here. Like, if you saw someone who's never seen a computer Overwatch, they'd have a heart attack. but Rocket League, it's so pure. Yeah. But as you get better and better, the game starts to open up, and you can really understand how to play with rotations, how to play pinches, how to play like a flower.
It blossoms. Yeah, and that is one of the really cool things about esports as a whole, is there's so much more to it that you truly don't really realize.
It's not just
we're casting it, man. There's so much more to it, and that's one of the best parts about Syracuse with that major, right? With that new major coming out in the fall, you get to see all the different parts of esports, not just the competitive side. And speaking of the competitive side, Georgia Tech 2-0 against SMU. So maybe Georgia Tech is that team that you gotta watch out for.
I feel like I don't have the list right in front of me, but going off of what we've kind of seen, it seems like Syracuse, Miami, Georgia Tech, Clemson, kind of the top 4 teams on this bracket, and then Louisville, SMU, Wake Forest. They're not out, right? No, everybody gets to the playoffs, and like we were saying before, upsets are possible. Rocket League, especially in a best of 3, can be super volatile.
Exactly. And, we'll have to see if any of those upsets will come to pass as the wonderful production team sets up the bracket, sets up what things are going to be going on. We're going to take a quick break, more like a long break, as we get the bracket set up, actually. So don't go anywhere. Get your popcorn, get your water, stay hydrated. Right. We'll be right back after this break.